Rachel Zegler is now suing Disney Studios after her bomb of a movie Snow White. According to reports, she's allegedly pursuing action for wrongful termination, gender discrimination, and defamation. She's claiming that Disney and other studios like Sony, Paramount, and Lionsgate have removed her from projects which she was already contracted for. It is very clear that things with her in the studio are not good right now.
Wow, people love me.
This movie should be called, they should call this movie Snow Woke and the Seven Pronouns. It's so bad. If you were to watch this movie on an aeroplane, Andrew, you'd walk out.
Interesting casting because this woman is extraordinarily woke.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
You want to trash that legacy? That company that now Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America? Yeah, we're sick of it. So the more you do this, Disney, Iger, Zegler, whatever her name is, yes, this is exactly the backlash you're going to get from parents who have kids who are your customers. You're supposed to win parents over. You're talking to kids, the parents pay for the tickets. You have to be a dummy as a marketer. If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role because you just screwed this thing up.
Just unfollow me, and I think a lot of people have just taken that advice and are not supportive of her projects. And in fact, if the film is as bad as they say, you're not going to go along and watch it anyway.
My grandmother saw the original in the theaters, obviously, and I remember she told us that when people watched it originally in 1937 in the theaters, it was an amazing experience because for most people, it was the first color movie. And so, first of all, there was the visual of it. But second of all, people had so connected emotionally with the character of Snow White that when she eats from the apple and she dies, people were literally weeping in the theater because they liked the character of Snow White so much. It seems like it's difficult to imagine a situation in which anyone was weeping in the theater as Rachel Zegler's character goes into a coma after eating an apple.
There were actually raucous rounds of applause in the theater. Of course, I was the only person in the theater, so maybe that might explain it. But probably in other theaters around the country.
Rachel Zegler, the young star chosen to play Snow White in Disney's upcoming live-action adaptation, is now at the heart of a heated debate. Numerous fans claim she showed a lack of respect for the original animated classic, igniting a wave of criticism online. In various interviews, Zegler remarked that the 1937 film felt outdated and that the remake would promote updated values.
Disney's woke reimagining of Snow White has been widely panned as one of the worst movies ever. Even the most so-called progressive publications hates this film. Let's just have a look at just a few of the summaries here. Lazy, visually repellent, said The Independent. Exhaustingly awful, said The Guardian. I like that one. A strange hot mess came from the Huffington Post. Good enough for TV. That's about the nicest review we've seen. That was from Vanity Fair. And the BBC came up with, the film has a major identity crisis. Again, BBC being polite there. And I've got to say, the extraordinarily bad film isn't helped by the fact that its biggest star is deeply unpopular. Snow White actress Rachel Zegler is an unlikable lefty activist, infamous for all sorts of outbursts.
Before we dive further, make sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates. She pointed out that her Snow White wouldn't be passively waiting for a prince, which some felt insulted the cherished original. As these interview moments spread online, public opinion of Zegler quickly soured, with many calling her dismissive, entitled, and disconnected from Disney's passionate supporters.
Alright guys, I watched Snow White, so you don't have to. Let's get into it. Now, first things first, Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
My father told me long ago, I braved a bitter storm of snow.
Her father and mother are king and queen to a utopian communist society. I'm not joking, guys. Everybody shares and is mindful of what each person is getting, and we spread our resources evenly, which is where this idea of fairness, as Snow White is the fairest of them all, is really presented in the film. Snow White is the fairest of them all because she has these communist sensibilities to share all resources with the farmers that till the land, and she got those sensibilities from her mother and her father.
With the Snow White remake potentially headed for a box office flop, new reports suggest Disney could pursue financial consequences for Zegler. The film's production costs were already high, reportedly falling between $250 million and $400 million. But Zegler's controversial remarks and the resulting backlash have allegedly distanced a key segment of the intended audience. Rumors indicate Disney is considering options like slashing her payment or activating contract penalties.
Snow White, what do you call it? Producer's son says Rachel Zegler hurt the film's box office with her actions in since-deleted comment. This is the exchange. Somebody at the top says, by the way, who's the first comment, Rob?
I couldn't see. It's cut off, so I'm not sure.
Your dad flew to New York City to reprimand a young actress? Any word on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No? Shame on your father. So the guy responds. You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew, blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled and encouraged. Tom.
Thank you, Jonah Platt. Oh my gosh, he's absolutely right.
Insiders say her actions might have breached PR obligations in her agreement, allowing Disney to seek reimbursement. If accurate, this move would be groundbreaking. Major film studios rarely dock lead actors' pay over negative publicity, signaling a shift in Hollywood's business dynamics.
To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
As criticism against her intensified, Rachel Zegler appeared to retreat from the spotlight entirely. Sources revealed she had left the US and was seen in Dubai, sparking curiosity among both supporters and detractors. While some suggest she's simply on a personal break, others suspect she might be dodging legal challenges or media fallout.
Alex, what has been the reaction to Disney's latest expensive own goal?
Well, the reaction has been absolutely horrible. It is the worst box office from a Disney live action remake that they've ever done, and Dumbo didn't do very well, but this is actually performing much lower than Dumbo. And this couldn't happen to a better person, in my opinion. Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad, considering she's a multi-millionaire actress living out every struggling actress's or actor's dream, and she just kind of, hand waves it like she's still some sort of victim, when in reality, she should be a movie star. She should be happy. She should be, apolitical, positive, but she's not that way. She loves Kamala Harris. She was, as woke as they are. And, the saying, go woke, get broke. And Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China, which is a huge indication that it will not do well globally.
Her disappearance closely followed reports of Disney's rumored financial claims, adding more fuel to the speculation that she's intentionally distancing herself from the chaos. There's even talk that she was advised to remain out of sight until the controversy cools down. Regardless of the motive, her unexpected exit has only deepened the intrigue and heightened the drama surrounding her situation.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
Roll. While enjoying the vibe and excitement of the streets of London.
Hey, what?
Three of the most beautiful cities in Europe.
As social media users continued to examine Zegler's past interviews, additional clips emerged that worsened her image even more. One particularly criticized video featured her expressing frustration about long hours spent in costume, a remark many viewed as out of touch considering the prestigious role she landed. Detractors argued that leading actors should anticipate tough schedules and that her comments came off as unappreciative.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Other unearthed interviews showed her speaking dismissively about the original Snow White film and Walt Disney's legacy. These resurfaced moments fueled the growing perception that she lacked appreciation for the studio and character that launched her into the spotlight, amplifying the public backlash already building against her.
We can start out with the creative bankruptcy of remaking another animated classic instead of making something new. But yes, it's all Rachel Zegler and her behavior. And if it was just one comment, it probably would have been forgotten by now. But it was comment after comment, and it was pissing off everybody, pissing off old Disney fans, pissing off new Disney fans, pissing off Trump supporters, pissing off all of America. And it became such a disaster that they had to shut her up, which was the smartest move they made. But the onus is all on her and Disney's reaction to it. And quite frankly, if she has said nothing, her movie, probably still forgettable, would have done a lot better.
As the controversy grew increasingly unmanageable, Disney reportedly conducted urgent internal meetings to confront the escalating PR crisis. Top executives were allegedly alarmed by the negative attention surrounding Zegler and its potential to damage the film's success. According to insiders, the studio considered creating distance between itself and the actress in hopes of limiting further fallout, while also exploring strategies to restore the movie's public image.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part. That people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
The turmoil sparked intense debate over whether Zegler had breached her contract and what measures could be taken to contain the situation. With Disney already facing disappointing box office results in recent years, the stakes were high, and leadership was eager to prevent another costly failure for the brand.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
So people have been sharing how few people are going to see Disney's Snow White and how bad Gal Gadot is going to be in the movie and like all of that. But I thought this one was hilarious. One single person bought a seat in the middle of the theater. They probably gonna shut the lights out because they gonna think nobody showed up. But this is hilarious. Also kind of creepy. Like, bro, I would be so weirded out if I was the only person in a movie theater watching a movie.
Amid the intensifying backlash, signs emerged that Disney tried to contain the fallout by having Zegler release a carefully worded corporate-style apology. However, the public reaction was largely underwhelming. Many felt her statement lacked sincerity, viewing it as a scripted effort to manage bad press rather than a heartfelt expression of regret.
Had not fallen prey to wokeness and nonsense in recent years. Even if Disney still had the most talented people in the world working with the best writers, with a good sense of narrative and the cultural moment, even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed, because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie. And Disney was not sending its best. I sat through the whole thing. I don't want to say it was the worst movie I've ever seen. It wasn't. But every way that the movie changed the story from the original, the 1937 movie, or even from the original Grimm Brothers fairy tale, every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just off.
Critics argued that her earlier remarks had already left a lasting negative impression, too strong to be erased by a single apology. Some fans also highlighted her demeanor in past interviews, claiming it made the apology hard to trust. Rather than easing tensions, the move backfired, fueling even more criticism and reinforcing the belief that Zegler was being disingenuous and out of touch.
They have been making this film for a very long time because it's just been so scandalized. And so they had to basically put it on ice after people were firstly outraged by Rachel Zegler speaking ill about the prior film, the film that she was remaking. Take a listen to her talk about the modern twist that they were going to give Snow White.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
Am I the only one that wishes it was 1937? Because I'm just so sick of this. And it's such a weird thing for their whole pitch as feminists to be is like the best thing you can strive to be as a man. Like, I feel like feminists are actually the patriarchy. Like they're just like, we're just gonna be like men. Everything will be great once we just act exactly like men. There's nothing special about being a woman. Let's just be men. It just doesn't feel like we're winning.
Beyond the uproar surrounding Snow White, Rachel Zegler's old political tweets also resurfaced, distancing her further from potential viewers. Some of her past posts, including criticisms of Trump supporters and other politically charged remarks, sparked fresh controversy. While it's not unusual for Hollywood stars to share political opinions, many felt her comments intensified the divide, turning the remake into a cultural flashpoint instead of a lighthearted family film.
Including this one after Donald Trump won the 2024 election, posting, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace." Goodness me. How badly is this going for Disney, Kinsey? That rhymes.
I mean, exactly, you're a poet. The New York Times reported that Disney bosses exploded in August 2024 after she shared a trailer for the movie on Twitter and captioned it and always remember free Palestine. It forced the Snow White producer to go have a meeting with her, flying from LA to New York. And they had these crisis talks where he stressed to her, you've got to watch what you say online because you could alienate half of your audience. And he went home feeling pretty confident in it. And then she pulled this Donald Trump stunt, and people were so outraged by the Donald Trump post that she actually had to come out and apologize. I don't think she's learned any lessons from this. She just seems to be relentless in her being outspoken and politically salacious in some ways, and I think that it hasn't done. Disney has learned their lesson. I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Calls for a boycott began circulating, with critics accusing Disney of pushing a political agenda through casting decisions and storyline changes. As the backlash widened, the issue grew beyond Zegler's personal actions, evolving into a broader conversation about Hollywood's shifting dynamic with its traditional audience base.
That's why we started off with this, right? Disney's losing to YouTube. 15 million views. How many of them were just to jump down directly into the comment section? I'll give Disney some credit. They're brave enough to leave the comment section open. Wow, Disney, you're truly incredible. It took you 3 years of multiple rewrites, unnecessary CGI, and $200 million just for me to enjoy the comment section more than I'll enjoy the movie. They finally did it. They made a movie nobody's going to pirate. Having struggled as an addict my whole life, watching this trailer has finally done it. Ain't never snorting any snow or white ever again. Coming to a theater near you, for the first time in my life, I'm glad there are no theaters near me. Theater gave me depression, but then the trailer gave me depression and the comment section cured it. They should create an award for the best comment section. That's the only award this movie is winning. They just tried to play this at our local theater, the projector walked out.
Despite the anticipation, Disney's Snow White remake bombed at the box office. International audiences largely ignored it, with many pointing to marketing misfires and public backlash as key reasons for its downfall. Analysts say Disney suffered massive financial losses, marking this as one of their worst-performing live-action releases. Critics argue that the industry's obsession with remakes is wearing thin with audiences.
This remake is reportedly to have cost more than $200 million, and Disney seemed too scared to properly promote this movie.
It's quite interesting. Disney has had a terrible run of it because it's still as a studio trying to pump out the sort of material which might have been briefly thought to be a good idea in, I don't know, the summer of 2020, but really looks horribly dated and actually misreading the situation now. I mean, you know, I think I've said to you before, Rita, but in general, when they do these remakes and they're done by people who hate the original, like, you know, Snow White just has to be the woman she knows she can be and the leader she believes she can be. Maybe you should just invent a different story and call it something different. Disney seem to know that they've got another stinker of a movie here. I might be wrong, but they seem to know, rather like their pretty woke remake of Peter Pan a couple of years ago that bombed at the box office. Disney clearly know that they've got to silence their star, and that's why last week the huge launch of the film was in the middle of nowhere in Spain at a castle that was said to have inspired the original cartoon. The castle in question is far away from most people. About 100 people were invited, which you can't say is the average sort of movie premiere setup. I mentioned in my post column, but as well as sending her to a far-off castle, you can't help thinking that Disney's executives must have been wishing they could also give the star a poisoned apple that would set her to sleep for many years so that she didn't appear in front of the world's press again anytime soon and diminish the movie she's meant to be promoting.
Rachel Zegler's role may have further hurt the film's chances. Her polarizing comments triggered widespread criticism, and some believe she directly turned viewers away.
After the box office flop, Snow White lost hundreds of millions of dollars for Disney, she decides to rage post behind every strong woman is herself. She continued celebrating herself by posting that she's in the #1 movie in the world, which is a remarkable thing to post when you are the laughingstock of an entire industry. This is what narcissism looks like.
Now, insiders claim studios are growing cautious about casting her. Once seen as a breakout talent after West Side Story, Zegler is increasingly viewed as a liability. Unless she takes a step back and works to repair her public image, her future in Hollywood could be in jeopardy. If controversy continues to follow her, she risks becoming a cautionary tale. With Zegler remaining silent, questions linger. Will she make a comeback, speak out, or quietly disappear? Meanwhile, Disney reels from the fallout. Can Zegler bounce back, or is this the end of the road? Comment below and hit subscribe for more celebrity updates.